Was former Michigan coach Sherrone Moore blackmailed and compromised by his inappropriate relationship with a staffer? At least one former player says yes, and that it cost him playing time. Locked on Big Ten starts right now.
You are Locked on Big Ten, your daily podcast on the Big Ten Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked on Big Ten. I'm Craig Shemon, part of the Locked on Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. Thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. We're part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day. Hit that free subscribe button down below. That way you'll never miss a single episode. We're here every day. And if you can share, like, and follow, that'll help us out as well. We always appreciate that. So, was Sherrone Moore compromised by his inappropriate relationship that got him fired? By the way, Sherrone Moore back in court this week. We'll give you details on that. Also, UCLA's Mick Cronin, he's mad at the Big Ten. Why? We'll talk about that, and we'll have our Big Ten classics and live action coming up. But first, we all know that former Michigan coach Sherrone Moore, he lost his job when he was fired for cause on December 10th when the school confirmed that he had been having an inappropriate relationship with a female staffer. The school had suspected it for some time. They were investigating it, but they really couldn't put one and one together and come up with two. Moore and this other female employee, they kept it under wraps because, well, yeah, Moore could lose his job if anybody found out. And it seems like a lot of people knew about it, though. One former player says that his teammates knew about the relationship and that they used that information to blackmail Moore and to making sure they got playing time. That's pretty explosive. That's a big accusation. And it was reported by Detroit's local Channel 4 WDIV digital producer, Derek Hutchinson. So the player in question here is wide receiver Anthony Simpson. He's no longer with the school, by the way. He did transfer into Michigan before last season, following 2 years at Arizona and 2 years at UMass. He brought to Michigan a resume that included 68 career catches for 910 yards and 3 touchdowns. All right. So if Michigan fans are going, wait a minute, I haven't heard of this dude, it wouldn't be that surprising. He had 1 touch all season long. It was a 10-yard run. It was in the Wolverines' 63-10 win over Central Michigan back in mid-September. That was the first game that Sherrone Moore sat out due to his 2-game suspension for Spygate, as you will recall. Simpson just entered the transfer portal this past week. And before he left, though, he made a lot of noise on Twitter or on X. He took to social media to say that he was the best receiver on the team, and he claimed to be the fastest player on the team. So why did he play more? Certainly, we'd all agree that wide receiver was not Michigan's strong suit. And if we had players like this on the bench, why didn't they play, right? That would be logical. A player like this certainly should get more touches, I would think. So Simpson even claimed, he was killing it at practice, doing great. He said that the team captains were begging the coaches to let him play more. So here's the explosive part, though. He posted on X that Simpson, was treated unfairly because Sherrone Moore was being blackmailed by players and staff to keep the inappropriate relationship he was reportedly having with the staffer, keep it quiet. And that way that these players that were threatening this with to Sherrone Moore, they kept their jobs on the field. They kept getting playing time. Hey, Sherrone Moore, you take me off the field, I'm going to start yapping about your little relationship over there. So they kept playing. And this is what kept Simpson off the field, according to Simpson. Simpson says he was denied fairness. Now, Michigan's starting slot receiver, who was ahead of Simpson in the depth chart, Semaj Morgan, very familiar name. You all have heard of him. We talked about him all season. He seemed to respond to Simpson's comments by posting on his own socials by saying, y'all let people tell y'all anything and believe it. Seems to be refuting Simpson's claims there. So far, Simpson is the only one making these accusations. Nobody else to date is backing him up. But I got to admit, there were some times where Semaj Morgan, maybe he should have been benched. I mean, he was dropping Bryce Underwood passes like he was allergic to footballs, right? You all remember it. Meanwhile, Simpson announced that he's taking his talents to Toledo next season. As I said, he just entered the transfer portal. He has found a home. Seems to me the greatest wide receiver on the roster at Michigan should end up somewhere better than Toledo. No offense to Toledo in the transfer portal, but we'll see. We'll see what happens there. In the meantime, Michigan's moving on. Kyle Whittingham, ready to go. New program. They're trying to upgrade the wide receiver spot so that Bryce Underwood can have some decent targets to throw to and continue to develop. Jamie French Jr. is coming from Texas. By the way, Semaj Morgan also leaving. He's going to UCLA. Tight end J.J. Buchanan is coming with Whittingham from Utah. And there's incoming talent from the recruiting class of 2026. Four-star wide receiver Celeste Moa comes from Ogden, Utah, and also four-star wide receiver Travis Johnson. This was a big recruit they got back in the day from Chesapeake, Virginia, 6'4" speedster. He's remained true to his commitment even through the coaching saga. He's coming. Travis Johnson. That's the one I think we need to be excited about if you're a Michigan fan. By the way, regarding Sherrone Moore, following his firing, it was a month and a half ago already. He was arrested later that day, as you'll remember, for allegedly breaking into his staffer and former girlfriend's place of residence, threatening to harm himself, and accusing the woman of ruining his life. So he got arrested, spent a couple of nights in jail before appearing before a judge for charges. He was granted a $25,000 bond and released. He's scheduled to return to the courtroom this week, as a matter of fact, in Washtenaw County. Prosecutors and his lawyer, they're going to decide now. We're going to strike a deal here, or we're going to proceed with the case and move forward in the courtroom. Sherrone Moore has already pled not guilty to these multiple charges, a couple of misdemeanor charges and a felony charge. But if this proceeds into court, he could, if he's found guilty on everything, get up to 6 years behind bars. So maybe the lawyers are talking and working out a deal. We may find that out here this week regarding Sherrone Moore's future and whether he'll be a free man. So that's it for that. So what a crazy story. Huh? I would love your comments on this. Again, I mean, we gotta weigh both sides here. It certainly seems like it could be one disgruntled player making some comments out the door. It's just the one player. So I don't know if this is true or not. Also, I mean, it could be true. And we'll let you decide. I wanted to report it, wanted to talk about it, wanted to put it out there. Meanwhile, a lot of other stuff going on at Michigan as they're all trying to move forward. But love your comments here on YouTube if you want to drop those as well. Hit that free subscribe button down below. That way you'll never miss an episode. And if you could share, follow, and like, that helps us out here at Locked On Big Ten. Also, don't forget, we have a website. It's talkbig10.com. We can do two things there. Talkbig10.com. If you're watching on video, you can see the address on the bottom right there. We put all of our podcasts there. So you can go back, check out yesterday's podcast. But we talked about the betting odds of Indiana and Ohio State, along with Oregon being among the favorites to win the national championship and for Indiana to repeat as a national champion. So you go back for a second, listen after that. After you're done here today, they're all there at our website, talkbig10.com. Also, you click on the link, the logo of your favorite school, whether it be Michigan, the Black M, or Indiana, and it'll take you to a store. Buy Big Ten merchandise with your favorite school logo on your shirts and your hats and pennants on the wall, coffee mugs, all that right there for you at talkbig10.com. Okay, we got a lot we still need to cover here today. First of all, USC is very busy. They're hiring coaches. Lincoln Riley is continuing to improve his staff. We'll tell you what that's all about. Defensive coordinator, special teams coordinator, all that stuff. By the way, why is Mick Cronin at UCLA so mad at the Big Ten? I will tell you the answer to that question. We've got Big Ten news, some Wisconsin news as well, and our Big Ten Classics and live action. Plus, that's not all. I will tell you directly how you can join our Everydayer Club. All that is coming up in 1 minute right here on Locked On Big Ten. So TurboTax, man, it's tax time and time to hunt and gather papers and information and all that. I normally dread it, but I don't anymore. For years, I've used TurboTax, and tax season doesn't have to take over your life. TurboTax is making it easier than ever to just hand things off and move on with your day and let them do it. TurboTax has full service. You can even have your taxes done for you by a trusted local expert, start to finish, without the stress or the guesswork. That's right. It used to be sometimes you send off the information and then they do it and get back to you. Still, they do that, but they can do it with you right there on the phone, finish it. It's easy. I've done this for years personally. So instead of spending hours trying to figure out what are the proper forms, we don't always know everything. Guess we don't want to guess with taxes. We want to get it right with TurboTax, handling everything from W-2, self-employment forms. Use the right forms for a limited time. You can have your taxes done by a local TurboTax expert for just $150 all in. If a TurboTax expert didn't file for you last year, so that's the deal. If you want to try this out, $150 all in. If you didn't use them yet. So just file by February 28th and take taxes off your plate, take the worry, take the hassle off, get back to your life. Visit turbotax.com/local to book your appointment today. That's turbotax.com/local. Thanks for checking us out here on Locked On Big Ten and making us your first listen every day. And also, thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network out there. Now, you already live your team every day. You're very passionate, you everydayers out there. You can join the Everydayer Club, and that means you'll get our audio podcasts. If you're on Spotify or Apple, you can get them ad-free. That's right. No interruptions. And you can also have access to a members-only Discord. I was jumping on that Discord during the chats during the halftime of the national championship this week. A lot of us were. I saw a lot of people out there. So you could join that as well. It's just $5 a month, $50 a year. Go to lockedonbig10.supercast.com. Check the link in the show notes afterward for more information there. Let's talk about the USC Trojans and Lincoln Riley. They were looking for a new defensive coordinator, and looks like they're going to turn. This is big now. They're going to turn to former TCU head coach Gary Patterson. Got to replace Danton Lynn, who had been there the past couple of years, but he left the Trojans to be the defensive coordinator as alma mater Penn State with Matt Campbell. I remember for once a little bit when they were looking for a coach, Danton Lynn's name came up as a head coach possibility. So Matt Campbell got the job, and he hired Danton Lynn to go to his alma mater. So what does USC do and Lincoln Riley? I mean, they've always had the offense. They've needed the defense. Well, they're bringing in Patterson, who's a defensive-minded coach, the winningest coach in TCU history back in the day. He went 181 and 79 in 22 years there. He was let go during the 2021 season. He has since spent time as a special assistant and a consultant at Texas and Baylor, and even worked with the Locked On College Sports Channel this past football season as well. Also, USC struggled. You know what's an understatement to say they struggled? They were horrible on special teams. And they just hired Nebraska special team coordinator Mike Eckler. He was a Broyles winner, Broyles Award nominee. He didn't win it. It was a nominee for the nation's top assistant. USC, they were the second worst of the Big Ten in kick return average at under 17 yards a return, and total just 89 punt yards all season. All season. It was the fifth worst of the Big Ten. So they need some help on special teams. There's no question about that. Meanwhile, news out of Wisconsin. Linebacker Aaron Witt is returning for a seventh football season. That's according to Luke Fickell. And Witt has battled injuries, but he's going to be the Badgers' full-time inside linebacker. So I thought I'd pass that along as well. Now, on to basketball for a second. UCLA basketball coach Mick Cronin. I think he's a very good coach. I think he's a tough-minded coach, a good defensive coach. But he's upset with the Big Ten right now over scheduling issues. So, I mean, you think he'd be happy. His Bruins just knocked off the number 4 team in the country, Purdue, 69-67 at home on Tuesday night in front of the home fans. What could go wrong? What's the problem here? Well, he's complaining that before that Purdue game, 5 of their first 7 conference games have been on the road. And also Purdue got to LA before the Bruins did. So not much of a rest advantage for having a home game. So here's what happened. UCLA had 2 days rest before playing Purdue. And the Bruins had just returned from a road trip at Ohio State. But Matt Painter's Boilermakers, they've been in LA living large, doing the town. I mean, they've been there since last week because they played USC on Saturday, right? So Purdue's been out there in Los Angeles. Meanwhile, UCLA's they're coming back from Ohio State, and he doesn't like that. So he wanted to point it out. Now, here's the good part of the scheduling. I mean, you can't appease everybody every weekend with 18 teams in 3 time zones and 2 different coasts, the Midwest. Good part of the scheduling, though, a team like Purdue, they're playing on the West Coast to stay on the West Coast. That would have been ridiculous for them to go home in between games versus USC and UCLA. So, I mean, all this schedule isn't bad. And sure, there's going to be some tough spots here and there. So Cronin was really unhappy about UCLA's schedule. So he went a little bit too far, I thought, in complaining about playing the team that was picked to win the entire conference in Purdue on just 2 days rest. And I wonder if he would have made the same point if he had played a lesser team like Penn State, for example. He was kind of driving it home. Yeah, we got to play this team. They're supposed to win the whole conference, and we only get 2 days rest. That was how he put it. Regarding the 5 road games out of 7, he said the Big Ten doesn't care about basketball. Yikes. The Big Ten doesn't care about basketball. What kind of comment is that? By the way, UCLA, they're not too bad. They're at 13-6. They're 5-3 in the league. And they've been on the road at Washington and Iowa and Wisconsin and Penn State, plus the Ohio State game that we mentioned. But there's the fact that Cronin and the Bruins, they actually beat Purdue, even with all the disadvantages and trying circumstances. They beat Purdue. It's really not going to help his argument here. It was a good quality win. He is a good coach. So the fact is the Bruins have won 6 out of 9. And you know what comes when you have a bunch of road games like that? Yeah, you got a bunch of home games coming up. And if you had to choose, would you rather have a bunch of home games right now, or would you rather have them late in the season when everybody else is tired, exhausted, banged up, and getting ready for postseason play? I think it's going to work out just fine for Mick Cronin and UCLA. It's a good basketball team, and they're going to have a favorable, a home slate for the back half of the season. But, hey, it's his prerogative. He wanted to mention it. Woe is him after a win, right? Speaking of Big Ten basketball, tonight, Thursday night, just one men's game. Got Wisconsin. They're 13-5. Remember, they got that win against Michigan on the resume. They're at Penn State tonight. Penn State 9-9. They gave Michigan a scare, by the way, about a week and a half ago. So the Wisconsin-Penn State game tonight is at 7 p.m. Eastern time. That's on FS1. Now, we got some women's basketball tonight. We got 4 games on the slate. 24th ranked Nebraska, 14-4. They're at Wisconsin. That's at 7:30 Eastern on Big Ten Plus. Penn State is out west, number 25, Washington, with their 14-4 record. That game will air at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 o'clock Pacific on Big Ten Plus. Minnesota is at Oregon. That's at 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific, Big Ten Plus. And then Purdue is at number 3, UCLA, the Lady Bruins, with a 17-1 record. That's at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 o'clock Pacific, also on Big Ten Plus. If you are new to our podcast, welcome aboard. We're here every day. We talk about all 18 teams. We concentrate a lot on football and basketball. But another thing, in addition to us talking about all 18 teams with news, analysis of that news, opinion of that news, we never shy away from opinion here. We also have features at the end of our podcast. On Mondays, every Monday, you can count on it. You'll have my top 10 Big Ten observations from the weekend. Tuesdays, we'll do Tuesday tweets. Follow us on Twitter or X at Talk Big Ten. Wednesdays, we power rank. Thursdays, today, we take a look at Big Ten Classics and live action on the Big Ten Network this weekend. I'll get to that in a moment. And then Fridays, tomorrow, we're going to segue from pigskin picks. Now we're doing basketball picks. I might throw 2 NFL games in there just for fun, since we're out of college football games to talk about. But that'll be on tomorrow's podcast. All right. In the meantime, we'll take a look at Big Ten Classics and live action coming up this weekend on the Big Ten Network. That's all 1 minute from now here on Locked On Big Ten. Thanks for checking us out here on Locked On Big Ten. Let's do it. It is time to take a look at our Big Ten classics and live action. We'll go on screen with this. So if you're on audio only, don't worry about it. Spotify, Apple, we'll just it's just dates, logos, and we don't put everything on the screen, just things we think you'll be interested in from Friday through Sunday. So let's pick it up. Friday, January 23rd, right there at 2 o'clock Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. If you're at work, you want to roll tape and record this, right? It is the Indiana Football Classic, and now Indiana Football Classics include a national championship. That's right. You got a replay of the Indiana-Miami game from just a couple of days ago, in case you missed it. It's going to air on and off throughout the weekend. I'll point out one other one, not all of them, though. And then also on Friday, the Big Ten's been doing a lot of wrestling lately. Big Ten Wrestling, Michigan State at Purdue. That'll air at 5 Eastern. At 7, Ohio State at Minnesota. And then at 9 p.m. Eastern and 6 o'clock Pacific, Iowa at Nebraska. So let's flip the page, flip the calendar. Take a look at Saturday, January 24th. Again, there it is. Noon Saturday, Indiana Football Classic. Got the national championship again. So let that roll. 9 o'clock on the West Coast, noon Eastern. Oh, that's going to be phenomenal. Now, that will roll into a 1 o'clock broadcast live from Bloomington, the Indiana Football National Championship celebration, the parade, if you will, the speeches, the fanfare. Now, that's at 1 o'clock Eastern. I'm gonna point something out to you right now. If you're like an Indiana fan and you're really, really looking forward to this, we as a country are gonna get blasted with some of the worst winter weather this weekend. Like 2/3 of the country is gonna get blasted. They're talking about snow in some areas measured in feet, certainly a lot of inches in the Midwest, and it's going to be Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I'm going to say it right now. I think there's a possibility that the Indiana football parade celebration may be postponed to next week. Maybe. We'll think, just kind of keep an eye on that situation. It is a serious, and if you're not aware of this, check your local weather, man. So this will be some life-threatening situations, really. I'm done freezing, lots of snow. Some of you may be trapped inside for a little while. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So keep an eye out on that. In the meantime, but hey, if you're inside and you're watching TV, these are the things you can watch. At 2 o'clock Eastern on the Big Ten Network, some women's basketball. Illinois is at Nebraska. And then at 6 o'clock Eastern, Big Ten men's hockey, Minnesota at Michigan State. And at 8:30, more hockey, Penn State at Wisconsin. So let's flip it to Sunday now, the 25th. We'll pick up the action at 11 a.m. Got some Big Ten basketball in 60, a replay of that Illinois-Purdue game from the day before. And then some wrestling, Penn State at Maryland at noon and at 2 o'clock Eastern. We got some women's basketball. This will be at 11 a.m. Pacific for you USC fans. It's USC at Michigan. And then 4 o'clock Eastern, 1 o'clock Pacific, more women's basketball, UCLA out at Northwestern. But by this point, a lot of you are going to be watching Championship Sunday around the NFL with the AFC and NFC championships. But this stuff's on for alternate programming as well. I definitely wanted to point it out. It's something that we do every single Thursday. And there you have it right there. All right. You can check that out. Tomorrow we'll have some picks. I think we'll pick those conference championship games, but we'll look at some Big Ten basketball to make some picks over the weekend. All right, I mentioned this earlier. I'm going to mention it again, and I don't want to confuse anybody. So if you hit the subscribe button, that's free. This podcast is here every day. It's always free. But we also are offering an additional service, the Everydayer Club, for you everydayers who are passionate, who just love all things Big Ten and join us every day. We got the Everydayer Club. You could get Locked On Big Ten on audio, Spotify, Apple. Get it ad-free, no interruptions, every day. Plus, you could join our members-only Discord. chat room. Like I said, all of us lockdown people are in there all the time. It's sometimes we're making fun of each other and our teams and our rivalries. It's a lot of fun. Join in. Plus, you can have access to other exclusive podcasts as well. It is just $5 a month, $50 a year, and you can gift it as well. Just go to lockedonbig10.supercast.com if you want to sign up for that. Check the link in the show notes for more information as well. Well, that'll do it. We got a lot of stuff we're going to keep our eye on around the Big Ten. And also, tomorrow, I haven't decided yet, but I think we're going to make fun of Paul Feinbaum and the SEC hacks. I think they're finally realizing they've been wrong all these years, making fun of the Big Ten, promoting the SEC. I think Feiney even said today he was wrong. Oh, we'll take a look at that. We like to point that out. So we'll have some fun with that as well. Had some fun here today. Thanks for joining us. Can't wait till we meet again tomorrow. Tell your friends about us. We're here each and every day. For Locked On Big Ten, I'm Craig Shemon. Talk to you next time.